Hello my fellow hirelings of House Telvanni, I'm Neloth, and today I want to introduce to you my first build video based on the House Telvanni theme of my channel, and that is of course the Telvanni Wizard. This wizard may not be an official member of House Telvanni, however he will build enough power and prestige so that one day he may return to Morrowind and claim his right of being a Magister of House Telvanni. But for now, he is content to acquire power, destroy his enemies in fashionable robes, and drink the finest wine and teas. He is truly the personification of the Telvanni way. Before I begin, let me state that there are timestamps down below to make navigating throughout this video very simple, and also note that this build should be seen as more of a template, meaning you can alter this build in any way you want to suit your preferences. With that being said, let us learn about the Telvanni Wizard. The Telvanni Wizard was born on Vvardenfell in Sadrith Mora, a few years before the eruption of Red Mountain destroyed Vvardenfell and before the Oblivion Crisis and the Argonian invasion. The Telvanni Wizard's parents adored their child and saw that he was exceptionally gifted with magic. One time, he accidentally used a light flame spell and scorched his father's foot. However, the eruption of Red Mountain destroyed their home, and with reports of Daedra raiding the remains of Morrowind, the Telvanni Wizard's parents became very worried about the future and safety of their infant child, and so they prayed to Azura for their child to be saved from the current horrors that were plaguing them. About a year after Sadrith Mora was destroyed, it would seem the parents' prayers were answered, because a Telvanni wizard from Port Telvannis named Ulvin Relith came to the ruins of Sadrith Mora because he needed servants for a research expedition to Cyrodiil to study the Ayleids and acquire any artifacts. Among his requirements was the need to have an apprentice he wished to train from a young child. Ulvin Relith sensed the magicka and power radiating from the infant Telvanni wizard, and asked the parents of the Telvanni wizard to take him as an apprentice. The parents knew it would be hard to give up their only child, but believed it would be the best way to give their child a good life. The Telvanni wizard was only 5 years old when he left for Cyrodiil. The expedition required carrying a number of supplies, and so instead of using teleportation, Ulvin Relith and his servants were forced to travel by caravan through the Valus Mountains and into the Nibene Basin. The conditions during the trek were very harsh, and a few servants died along the way. The young Telvanni wizard noticed Ulvin was rather unsympathetic at the loss of life, and asked why he did not care. Ulvin responded, saying, "It is simply the Telvanni way. Such feelings are for the weak and foolish." When the Telvanni arrived in the Nibene Basin, many of the servants lived in a small rundown stone tower, and Ulvin Relith immediately started planting and growing his new Telvanni mushroom tower. For the first 15 years, the Telvanni wizard was tasked with nurturing the tower and writing down detailed notes of Ulvin's research and findings on the Ayleids. The Telvanni wizard wondered what the ultimate purpose was behind researching the Ayleids. However, every time he asked his master, Ulvin would always demand he stop pestering him with so many questions. During this time, the Telvanni wizard became quite adept in spellcraft, with a focus on destruction and conjuration magic, and doing alchemy in his spare time. However, the people of the Nibene Bay and the city of Cheydinhal were uneasy with the Telvanni conclave in the area, as many were distrustful of magic after the Oblivion Crisis. However, the Telvanni wizard ignored many of the Imperials, and took his master's words to heart, believing they were weak and foolish. One night, after being summoned by his master, the Telvanni wizard saw that Ulvin Relith was smiling and happy, something he had never seen before, which made him slightly uneasy. Ulvin told the Telvanni wizard that he had finally found the location of a powerful Ayleid crown that is said to make the wearer impervious to magic. Ulvin then tasked the Telvanni Wizard with securing the crown and returning it to him for further study, and promised a promotion in return for his efforts. The Telvanni Wizard was very ecstatic about undertaking this chore, and so he packed his supplies, said farewell to some of the servants, and made his way to the location Ulvin described and found the ruin called Lindai. The Telvanni Wizard found the ruin was taken over by bandits, and so he waited until nightfall and attacked with a flame atronach and shock spells. After a hard fight, the Telvanni Wizard made it to the main chamber and encountered the bandit chief, who was a large Nord sitting on an Ayleid throne. The large Nord looked at the Telvanni Wizard and laughed, saying, "I heard of you, Telvanni, but never thought I'd see one for myself." The large Nord then gripped his axe, saying, "Come to take my home after losing your own?" The Telvanni looked at him with confusion and demanded he elaborate, but the large Nord simply laughed again and started to charge the Telvanni Wizard with axe in hand. Quickly, the Telvanni Wizard saw that he was standing on top of an old chandelier, and with good timing, the Telvanni Wizard shocked the hinges loose, and the chandelier fell on the large Nord, killing him in the process. The Telvanni looted his war chest and found the Ayleid crown, and proceeded to return home as quickly as possible. When making his way back to the Telvanni Tower, the Telvanni Wizard noticed that many of the citizens in the area were on edge and would give the Telvanni Wizard dirty looks on the road. When he reached his home, he saw that the Telvanni Tower was engulfed in flames, and surrounding the tower was a number of Imperial citizens, mercenaries, and even a few legionaries. The Telvanni Wizard knew that he was not powerful enough to take his revenge against the Imperials, and so he ran and sold his robes and the Ayleid crown to a merchant in Breville in exchange for food, clothes, and information on the best way out of Cyrodiil. He was pointed in the direction of Skyrim. While also a place very distrustful of magic, Imperial law enforcement was very lax because of the ongoing civil war, and the Telvanni Wizard was also told about a College of Winterhold in Skyrim, where those who seek to practice magic can go to learn. The Telvanni Wizard made his way through Bruma to the border of Cyrodiil, where he happened upon a large force of Imperials who took him prisoner. At first, he believed that the Imperials were looking for him and finally found him. However, once he was put on a cart with a group of Nords, he realized this was something else entirely. And you know the rest. Now, we will go into the role-playing. When the Telvanni Wizard escapes Helgen, he will do so with the Stormcloaks, still resenting the Empire for what he believes they did to his home in the Niben. With nowhere to go and unsure if his master Ulvin Neloth was even killed, he will follow Ralof and deliver word of Helgen's destruction to Jarl Balgruf the Greater. When the Telvanni Wizard discovers that he is the Dragonborn, he will be overflowing with curiosity, and will want to learn more from the Greybeards as soon as possible. However, he will also want to join the College of Winterhold to further enhance his magical aptitude. I would recommend doing both the main quest and the College of Winterhold quest lines more or less at the same time. Afterwards, the Telvanni Wizard will become emboldened, and will want to start collecting as many artifacts as possible, and will eventually go to Solstheim and fight Miraak, but most importantly, become connected with the sexy Telvanni Master Wizard known as Neloth. The Telvanni Wizard dreams of one day returning to Morrowind to claim his rightful position as a Master of House Telvanni, and learn what happened to his old master, Ulvin Neloth. However, he will want to be fully prepared and will want to master the magical arts, as well as acquiring unique shouts, powers, and artifacts before doing so. For a character who will be collecting many objects, you will need a home for rest and storage. I would recommend 3 locations: the plot of land called Windstad Manor in Morthal, where you can build your own manor with all the mage-like tower wings attached. The Creation Club mod added in the Anniversary Edition called Mirror Watch adds a Mystic Tower which is perfect for showing off your collection, and the mod called Telvanni, which adds a Telvanni Mushroom Tower which you can call your own and is very thematic for the Telvanni build. When dealing with people, the Telvanni Wizard will be very cold and calculating, but never cruel for the sake of cruelty. If he believes that someone is influential enough or can offer an acceptable reward, the Telvanni Wizard will be rather cordial. Being evil for the sake of evil or attempting to satiate some bloodlust would simply be a waste of time and would counter the Telvanni way. As far as other factions go, the Telvanni Wizard can really join any faction without breaking character. The Companions can be joined to gain influence and acquire the legendary Wuthrad Battle Axe, as well as study the effects of lycanthropy. The Thieves Guild can be joined to gain influence and meet influential contacts, as well as studying the powers of Nocturnal, or ignoring the ending of the Thieves Guild questline and keeping the skeleton key for yourself. The Dark Brotherhood can also be joined as well for the sake of learning more about the Dark Brotherhood and its secrets, as well as acquiring artifacts like the Blade of Woe or the Ancient Shrouded Armor. The Telvanni Wizard can also kill the Dark Brotherhood as well if he so chooses, because the Telvanni can decide that they are simply too annoying or edgy, or has some resentment of the Dark Brotherhood like many in Morrowind do, much preferring the Morag Tong. When it comes to the Dawnguard DLC, you can make a reasonable argument for joining either side. You can join the Dawnguard because you respect the ethics of the Dawnguard and find vampires to be rather disgusting. Or you can join the Volkaha clan and learn more about vampirism and immortality, as well as acquiring vampiric artifacts. While vampires are accepted in House Telvanni, I find being a vampire ruins the aesthetic of the Telvanni build, and I would recommend joining the Dawnguard instead. The Telvanni Wizard will also want to take part in the Ghosts of the Tribunal Creation Club mod, and will want to work with the Tribunal cultists. Not because the Telvanni actually worships Almalexia and the Tribunal, but rather he will feel that a secret cult might have its uses, and will want to have them as a secret ally. Of course, you can also slaughter them all if you so choose, because maybe you find doing their missions to be a bit of a headache. Lastly, the Civil War questline should be completely ignored, as neither side would suit the Telvanni aesthetic, and the Telvanni Wizard would find the Civil War to be a complete waste of time. Now for the race, stats, and the standing stone. If you didn't notice by now, I very explicitly did not mention the race of the Telvanni Wizard in the backstory or roleplaying. This is because anyone of any race can join the ranks of House Telvanni, from Red Guards and Orcs to even Argonians and Khajiit, so feel free to choose whatever race you want. However, I chose a Dark Elf for this video. For stats, I would recommend investing every 5 levels into Magicka, and every other level into health. Because of your summons and companion, you shouldn't be getting hit as much, and if you do, your restoration and alteration spells will come in handy. For the standing stone, you will want to go with the Lord Stone at the beginning, and then once you acquire the Ethereal Crown, you will want to use both the Lord Stone and the Atronach Stone simultaneously. Your 3 main skills that you will prioritize are going to be Destruction, Conjuration, and Alteration. Your 4 minor skills will be Restoration, Enchanting, One-Handed, and Alchemy. Starting with the primary skills. For Destruction, you will want Novice up to Expert Destruction, avoiding Master Destruction because those spells, well, suck. You will want to get both perks in Augmented Shock as well as Disintegrate, and finally Destruction Dual Casting and Impact. For Conjuration, you will want to acquire all the perks on the right side, from Novice Conjuration up to Master Conjuration, and you will want to acquire all the perks on the left side up to the Twin Souls perk. For Alteration, you will want to get Novice Alteration up to Expert Alteration, as well as all the perks in Magic Resistance and the Atronach perk. Now onto the secondary skills. For Enchanting, you will want all the perks with the exception of Soul Squeezer and Soul Siphon. You can also ignore Frost Enchanter and Storm Enchanter if you wish to conserve your perk points. For one-handed, you will want only 3 levels into Armsman. I never found any more to be necessary, especially with enchanting, but you can go all the way to 5 if you have the extra points. For Alchemy, you will want all 5 perks in Alchemist and also invest in Physician and Benefactor. Lastly, for Restoration, you will want Novice Restoration up to Adept Restoration. However, I would invest more if you plan on leveling above level 50. For weapons and armor, the Telvanni will not be using any armor, and will wear either the Telvanni robes in the Dragonborn DLC, or the Exquisite robes introduced in the Ghosts of the Tribunal Creation Club mod, with the exception of the Exquisite robes with House Redoran symbols on them. The Telvanni Wizard will also wear Telvanni shoes, gloves, jewelry, and will swap between the Ethereal Crown and a valuable circlet. All pieces will be enchanted. The goal with the enchantments will be to completely negate the cost of destruction spells to 0, allowing the Telvanni Wizard to become a true master of destruction magic and disintegrate all of his enemies in front of him. For weapons, we will be mostly using spells, however the Telvanni Wizard will have a backup sword just in case, and I would recommend either a Daedric sword or the sword called True Flame added in the Ghosts of the Tribunal Creation Club mod, as it fits the aesthetic of the Telvanni Wizard, and carrying around a mythical Dunmerry artifact that once belonged to Lord Indoril Nerevar is just an added bonus. For spells, in the early game you will want to use conjuration spells to summon whatever creature you have on hand, and then use destruction spells on your distracted targets. Lastly, use alteration in case of emergencies. Once you have reached the endgame and completely negate the cost of destruction, you will want to use a combination of Thunderbolt and a spell called Unbounded Storms added in the Anniversary Edition of Skyrim. Unbounded Storms has the capability to hurt any allies and conjured summons as well, so you will only want to use that spell when you have none of those allies around. In combat, I would also recommend summoning either 2 Dremora Lords or 2 Skeleton Warlocks, depending on the situation. It is always very satisfying to summon your allies and simply watch the fight rather than partake, as you rummage through chests and examine powerful artifacts. For shouts, you will want to utilize any shout, as they will suit the Telvanni well. Experimenting with different shouts should be another noble goal of the Telvanni Wizard. When it comes to alchemy, I would recommend making as many health and magicka potions as you can in the early game, but by the end game at around level 40 and higher, I would recommend transitioning to fortified destruction potions to increase destruction damage on tougher enemies like dragons or those dreadful Draugr death overlords. And that is the Telvanni Wizard, a build that is very thematic with my channel. Playing a mage is not always enticing to some, but it can be very rewarding if you dedicate time to it, and can become a dreadfully powerful character. The Telvanni Wizard is so far my most favorite character to play, especially because you get a sense of purpose playing the character, with trying to collect power for the sake of power, and spreading influence to the point where there is no real ending point for this character. And that is all I wrote. If you enjoyed this type of video, be sure to like the like button, like the subscribe button, and like the bell notification down below to be updated on future videos. And I will see you whenever the fuck I decide to upload again. House Telvanni be with you.
Please, O hero of Skyrim, I shall be ever so grateful.